Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cold War Prepper. This is Lee. And so right now it looks like there's nobody on but me, but we will get there shortly. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is what is your plan? And this is I've watched a couple fantastic videos over the course of the last couple days. And I'm reading a fantastic book, which also I think really shows the importance of having a plan. So I wanted to kind of give some generic ideas about what is your plan? What do you have in your plan? What should you have in it? What can you have in it? Hello, Diana, too. And then maybe you can come up with some ideas that I need to add to my plan. So I think that's going to be an important part as well. Hello, Tofu, and Little Lone Prepper. Welcome. Teresa Buchanan will be back shortly. Let me get I had to restart my computer again because for some reason lately, as I'm doing things, come on, Word, open up. For some reason, as I'm working along, all of a sudden it says my camera is not connected, so I have to reboot my computer. It's an 8-year-old computer. I think I told you I just spent $300 getting it. The battery and speakers because the speakers blew, and it was terrible. About $350 to replace all the stuff in this 8-year-old MacBook Pro. So maybe I might go back to a DOS machine because at least I know how to operate it. My daughter says it's a far better machine, but gosh, I just, like I used to be able to copy paste pictures. I don't know how to do that on this. And so it's just a little bit more complicated than what I really want. Hello, John H. Welcome. So anyhow, so let's let me just kind of show you this book. This is a phenomenal book. So for those of you who don't know, one of our subscribers, when I was interviewing, so I've interviewed Chris, who is an American, and we're doing his series. As a matter of fact, the last Thursday of the month, we'll be doing Conflicted Home, which is volume 8, I believe, book 9. So we'll be doing book 9 of his series. He's got 12 out right now. So we're almost finishing up with this one. But phenomenal writing. This is just great. It just moves along and very appropriate. I think there's a lot of things. If you live in Florida, there's a lot of tricks to native Florida plants that would really be beneficial to you by reading this series. So that's just a great series. Then, of course, Stephen Smith has his series, and that's the shirt I'm wearing tonight. Got it in the mail. What do you think? There's the Stonemont series. So I ordered this one. My wife had her hand on me while we were sleeping last night, and I thought that maybe, we were getting close again, and it turns out, no, it's just that she loves how soft the shirt is, and so she wanted to feel how soft the shirt is. So, so at least if you wear a shirt, your wife will put her hand on you, I guess, because it's a great shirt. He said that this is also the most popular color. I think it's pine green. But it's just a great shirt, and thank you, Steve. It is a great shirt. So, but anyhow, so his series, the Stonemont series, is focused on eastern Kansas and southeastern Kansas and western Missouri, southwestern Missouri. It gets into a little bit of Arkansas and the Ozarks. He does mention one of our, both his and my favorite groups, and that's oh gosh, now I'm going to forget his name. He's a retired major special forces, and he lives in northwest Arkansas in Pinedale area, and he calls his place Shofar Mountain. Viking Preparedness. There we go. Viking Preparedness, Pastor Joe Fox. So he's even mentioned in one or two of the books so far of Steve Smith's. So that's a great series. This series, so far I've gotten into 3 different series of this author. So the first one is the one that kind of starts it all off, is Locker 9. So a guy sends his daughter off to college. He goes out and rents a locker. Puts all kinds of preparedness items in there just in case SHTF happens. It does happen. She goes to the locker. There's all kinds of stuff to help her get home. Then it's a 4-book series on getting her home and getting him home because he goes to meet her, and just all kinds of things. Great series. Helen is reading it right now, believe it or not. In book 2 of that series, he introduces a character that really got me kind of attracted to the whole thing, by a guy by the name of Mad Mick. And so I'm now on, I just finished volume 2 of the Mad Mick series. I showed it in my weekly haul, and that's Masters of Mayhem. So this one is finished. Book 3 of Locker 9 is now finished, and that's Compound Fracture. So I figured I'd start another one of his series. And when I was communicating with him, what I discovered is this book is more about preparedness than the other two. So that's the reason I wanted to talk about tonight, about having a plan, because I'm going to say that the first, oh gosh, there's all kinds of clues here and tips here on different things to do to prepare a plan on what you need to do if something happens. And I think that's what we really want to focus on. Hello, Camper Van Clark, welcome. And Stray Kitten, welcome. So I think that's what I want to focus on this evening is that I'm going to try something and I want to see if it'll work. Let me see, present. Extra camera slides. No, it's not a slide, I don't think. No, I don't have any slides. Okay. I can't show it. It's present. It would have to be a tab, but it's actually a Word document. So imagine, if you would, a Word document, and I've divided it into, I used tables for it, and then I created a title for each one. So scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3, and you can come up with all your different scenarios. So for me, scenario 1 is basically economic collapse, or some sort of a notification that the grid has gone down. So it kind of works for both of those. Now, I probably would not do the same thing as I would for a catastrophic event like a nuclear bomb going off or domestic riots or something like that. Different things require that you do different things in different orders. You have different priorities on what you're going to do. So this one is primarily around that I want to share with you, kind of as an idea of how this works, is my scenario 1. Now, in each one of these scenarios, I have what's called PACE. So PACE is 4 different letters. P is primary, A is alternate, C is contingency, and E is emergency. So you've got 4 different plans. So let's say, what happens if you don't have, in this case, I've got to redo everything because I had it for 4 adults and 3 children, and the 2 adults and 3 children have moved away. As my grandson says, they're 3 motels away from us. So I don't think that they're going to be here at the start of SHTF. So that means that, they aren't going to be doing the same things. So Helen and I now have to redistribute a lot of this stuff. We have to, a lot of it won't make any sense anymore. So we've got to kind of reorganize all that. So let me tell you, what I did was I also put down what kind of vehicle each person has. So scenario 1, and Helen has a Kia Sportage. So I'm asking her, number 1, get the water bob. And this is a 150-gallon inflatable bladder out from underneath the sink in the bathroom. Put it in the tub and fill it with water. Number 2, there's a box full of water bottles in the garage. Fill those up with fresh water. Number 3, I have the brown Cambros from the emergency company in the garage. Fill them up with cold water. Number 4, fill all containers in the kitchen with water. Number 5, fill all empty canning jars in the garage with water. Plug in all radios and their chargers. Plug all battery chargers and the batteries in. Charge all cell phones. Charge the laptop. Charge the iPad. Put the assemble the Jackery in the backyard. So that's very simple. All she has to do is spread out the extra solar panel, attach the cable to the solar panel, and then attach the other end into the Jackery. Then plug in the black radio and turn it to 590, which is our local, and that's KLBJ, owned by Lyndon Baines Johnson and Lady Later-Bird Johnson. So that was their radio station, and So we still have that here. And so turn that in. That's one of the ones that's going to carry the EMS messages so that we can listen to it. We're going to have that plugged in and we're going to be listening to it here. And then the last one is charge all flashlights. So daughter has a Ford Escalade. Get her boys from daycare, top off the gas tank, fill all available water containers at home and load into the car, gather dog food and the dog, grab go bags at your home for the adults and children, load all snacks for the boys. So the two oldest boys are toddlers. The youngest is still a baby. That's a female. So what we want to do is get all those go bags and put them in the back of her Escalade. Then load all the snacks for the boys because these guys, they eat a lot and they like their snacks. Then load all the diapers, load all the toilet paper and other paper products, load all the wipes, whether that be for adults or for children, and then make sure that all the personal and feminine hygiene products are loaded in the car and then assemble here. So my son-in-law drives an F-150. So I said, so for him, head to H-E-B, which is our local grocery store, get 2 cases of each size of diapers, get 10 tubs of baby wipes, get 2 of each baby care items, shampoo, Desitin, etc. Get 2 cases of each type of baby food, get 2 cases of each type of toddler snack, pick up 4 cases of water, 20 pounds of flour, 1 pound of yeast, 10 pounds of rice, 10 pounds of pinto beans, 6 jars of peanut butter, 8 jars of jelly or jam, a 6-month supply of feminine hygiene products, 10 pounds of dry ice, body and hand soap, 6 of each, 40 pounds of dog food, and I've got 20 pounds of dry rice again. Got it in there twice. Okay, that must be really important. Fill up 2 5-gallon gas cans full of gas and then top off the gas and assemble here. Lee, who drives a Toyota Tacoma, head to Sam's. And I'll probably change that to Costco. We got a grand opening of a new Costco that's going to be a lot closer than Sam's. And that's going to be happening this coming Friday. Get 6 cases of water, 2 cases of Diet Coke, 2 cases of Gatorade, 8 jars of peanut butter, 4 jars of olive oil, 4 gallons of vinegar, 1 case of chili, 1 case of Spam, 1 case of beans, 10 pounds of sugar, 8 jars of instant coffee, 20 pounds of rice, 20 pounds of flour, 20 pounds of pinto beans, 1 case of tuna, 1 case of Spam, 4 boxes of Bisquick, 4 jars of country gravy mix, 8 bottles of propane, and those are the green ones that we use for our Mr. Buddy heater system. We also use it for one of our stoves. Then let me see, 2 cases of Safe Heat. So we're going to use the Safe Heat primarily for the Vespa InstaFlame house warmer. And then we're going to use the Sterno cans, camping Sterno cans, but they don't have those at Sam's or at Costco, so that'll have to be a Walmart product. And that's what we use to cook. But I think we got plenty of those. That'll last us for a while. Then fill up 2 5-gallon gas cans, bring them home, top off the tank at the gas station, then come home. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. When you're talking about a list, think of a list of all the different things that you want different people to do in preparation for each type of event. Now, if this were a financial, let me, Ingrid, that's a great question. Let me go up here and welcome, see if I'm missing anybody that I haven't welcomed. Lisa B, welcome. Hello, Tofu. Ingrid Sally, that's a great name. Thank you. So Hello Tofu says, question, do you have any concerns about power outages, shortages damaging the items that you are charging? No, because we have EMP Guard, and I am a distributor for that. That's going to be in the notes down below. So number one, if you're afraid of an EMP or a CME, then I recommend that you get some sort of basically an EMP protector on your home system. Expensive. They're about $350 to $500. But I mean, what you're doing is you're absorbing all that. There are 3 different waves that hit with an EMP or with a CME. And so you're protecting against that large voltage surge. You're also protecting against one that kind of creeps along and just adds up and builds up, and then it finally pops. So what you're trying to do is you're adding in an extra circuit breaker before it damages anything in your house. Another way that you can protect yourself is a very inexpensive way is they do have power strips with built-in surge protectors. So, and that's probably going to cost you about $20. Okay, you can get 6 plug-ins on a surge protector. Heavy wire. You plug the heavy wire into the wall. You got 6 more plugs you can put in there. It's got an on-off switch, and it's got a surge protector built into it. So if you have the EMP switch and the surge protector in your plug, then basically you've got everything taken care of, and they should be fairly safe. Ingrid, I haven't done a detailed analysis of what is the best solar system. What I can tell you is there was an offer for the Jackery system, and it was 50% off. And right now, and I'll put it in the notes, there is another company that's offering up to 50% off. And I don't know the quality. I can't tell you the quality of any of these. I'm not an electrician. I really don't do. Alaska Prepper has done really good reviews on a lot of these. Rule the Wasteland has done some really good reviews on them. City Prepping has done some very outstanding technical reviews on all the different solar chargers. So I would refer you to them. They're going to give you some really good information. I will tell you, I bought a Jackery. It's a name that I heard. It matched my needs at the time. I didn't have whole house solar at that time, and it was at the price I could afford at that time. I've noticed that now Jackery is also being sold at Harbor Freight. So I went over and picked up an extra solar panel, and I picked up some extra cables just in case. So I can tell you that. I'm using Jackery. If I were to do a detailed analysis of it, I would tell you that's way beyond my knowledge or capabilities to do that deep analysis on it. So, another good one who did really good reviews on all the different, and he got a whole bunch of them to review, was Pinball Preparedness. I think he's got some very good videos on which is the best system to purchase. Claude, welcome, Claude Ortega. That was one of my favorite uncles, Claude. Mama Rocks Homestead, welcome. So Ingrid says that she just had a whole house surge protector applied to her electrical box. Also added a Faraday cage over my electric meter. Great going, absolutely. That's what an EMP shield is. Okay, it's a whole house surge protector. So that should protect you against an EMP, CME, and a lightning strike. Okay, as long as the lightning strike hits on the outside of that surge protector. Okay. Now with the CME and the EMP, you're looking for the long wire attraction of where that surge is going to hit and then be conducted into your house. So that's going to be your power pole outside. So as long as you've got it, between the power pole outside and you're inside of the house, and you said it's at your power box, perfect. You are very well prepared, and I think you'll be very, very happy with that. You'll be doing things like having ice cubes and other things like that. Claude, thank you so much. You'll be doing ice cubes and things like that while your neighbors aren't. So I think you'll be very happy with that decision. Yeah, I really like City Prepper. He does some really good analysis. I think he's a fantastic guy. I watch anything and everything he puts out. Another one is I'll have to think of their names. It's Kylene, Ann, and Jonathan, and I can't remember their channel's name, but they are phenomenal. I watch everything they do as well. Okay, let me see. Claude, so Claude, I don't know if you are aware of it or not, but I am a member of St. Vincent de Paul. Let me cover my last name. So we just had our meeting. I had to rush home. We have our meetings the first and third Wednesdays of every month. So far, the last 5 days, I've probably visited 7 neighbors and helped them with financial needs and food shortages and things like that. What we're finding is that for example, we do intakes on Monday and Wednesday. So today we had 14 new neighbors call us and say that they needed financial assistance. They couldn't pay their bills. And so 6 months ago, we got 14 a week. Now we're getting 14 a day. But here's the problem. So people are losing jobs. More people are needing help. The economy is going up as far as pricing. So what we do give doesn't go as far as it used to. The next problem of that is we're totally dependent upon our parishioners giving us cash donations. And so we just did our Black Bag collection at church on Sunday. And so we're totally dependent upon donations in order to assist families. So we got more people needing the money. The money isn't going quite as far. A lot of our own parishioners who are donating because of inflation aren't able to give as much as they have in the past. So we have less money to deal with than we had in the past. So what I do, just to let you know, this is a long story to tell you, that the $20 that you just gave me, basically 7 of that is going to go to St. Vincent de Paul, and the other 7 and another $7 is going to go to our county food bank. So $14 out of that 20 is going to be given in your name as a charity to people who need it far, far more than I do. So thank you so much for being such a wonderful, generous person. And I hope you understand that your money is going to go to good use, helping other people who, we're told both in Matthew 25 and in James 2, to tend to Jesus's flock. And so that's what we're going to be doing with that money, is tending to those people, regardless of their faith, regardless of the religion. We help those who are in need. That's what we're told to do. Okay, so let's go through those 4 plans again. So we've got primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. So now let's go back and let's say that we're going to have children here. And now Allison, my daughter, for example, her Escalade is in for repairs. Is that right? Am I saying the right word? What's the biggest Ford? For some reason, I got Escalade as a Cadillac in my mind. Whatever the biggest Ford is what she has. And anyhow, so now her car's in the shop. So now we got all those tasks and all those duties that she was going to be doing that now we have to divvy up to somebody else. And so that's how you end up with another one. You say, what are the contingencies? What are the things that could go wrong with my plan? So what happens if, for example, my EMP shield fails and my house catches on fire because of an electrical surge? Then what do we do? Then, that's our alternative. Where do we go from there? How do we get the stuff to the new location and all those different kinds of things? So you want to run through your mind different scenarios. What is it you have to do for each scenario? Riots, nuclear war, conventional war, a Red Dawn type of an event, an invasion type event, financial collapse, another lockdown because of a pandemic. Think of all the different things that can go wrong. And then how are you going to prepare for those? What are the different steps that you have to take and the other members of your family have to take? And that's what I'm talking about. I don't understand your comment, Red Scout, but thank you. We have one here at ours too. And as a matter of fact, we went to our St. Vincent de Paul meeting this afternoon. So my sister donated some food. We had somebody who was really needed some help. I mean, she was down to she owed $1,000 and she only had 20 in her pocket, and she couldn't even get food. So I called my sister. My sister had a whole bunch of extra food that had she had collected as donations from her neighbors. And so I went and picked that up and I took it to her. And then there were extra she couldn't eat. She couldn't eat the pasta because she can't have anything that has gluten in it. Different things. Different people have different allergies and all this kind of stuff. So actually, we ended up only giving her half. So we were going to take it over to the church and put it in our donation bucket. But we found out that it was locked. So Richard and I, my partner and I, decided that we would either take it to the Faith Formation office tomorrow, or we take it over to the church office. And then of course we could always go at the 12:05 mass tomorrow. We know the church is going to be open, so we could just drop it off then. So there's all kinds of options open to us. So it's great. Absolutely, Diana. So here's the question, and that is, what are the critical things that you have to do? And then I would say you probably need to have 2 checklists, and maybe one of them keep in the glove compartment of your car. So if there is something happens and you're away from home, what are the things you need to do? What do you need to, so maybe your primary is, I'm going to drive my car home. But there are certain things I have to do. There's routes I may want to consider as not being quite as arterial, quite as clogged as, say, Interstate 35 or something like that, And I found out, by the way, there was a interesting article in the most dangerous roads in Texas, and Interstate 10. Of course, it goes all the way from El Paso to Orange, is the longest road in the state, it basically covers 1/3 of the U.S. As far as width, but it's our most dangerous. We've had more accidents on Interstate 10 than any other. But how are you going to get home? And then what are the priorities you need to do? Maybe one of those priorities is stop somewhere and fill up your tank. Make sure you're topped off. Do you have an extra 5-gallon empty can that you keep in the back in your trunk? So you need to fill that up as well. So go through a checklist of what are all those things that you need to do if you're in your car and it still drives. Number 2, what if the roads are clogged and you still need to get home? Now, how are you going to get home? Do you have a get-home bag in your trunk? Do you need to carry extra shoes? Do you need to change shoes? Do you need to check for, make sure that your water bottle's full? Having a water bottle here in the greater Austin area, when the daytime temperatures is 105, is not conducive to good drinking water if you keep it in a container in your car for long periods. So I keep mine empty, and one of the bad things is I have not yet found freeze-dried water. The only freeze-dried water I find is you have to add water to make it good. So if you watch my pantry hauls, and I try to do one every Saturday. So I've got my whole half of the kitchen here is our dining room table is stuff I've purchased so far this week. And so on Saturday I do a pantry haul. Basically, these are all the different things I've purchased over the course of the week. What you're going to find is I also picked up 2 cans. Let me see if I can reach them here. I picked up 2 cans for the sole purpose of giving these away to somebody who comes to my door. So if somebody comes to my door and says, "Hey, do you have any extra food?" I can say, "Yeah, I've got this and I've got this," or I can just say, "Hey, yeah, I can't spare much. I can give you a can," and act like I'm destitute, but I'm giving them something. I'm taking care of the flock, and that becomes extremely important. So I bought 2 cans today. I don't eat that. The sole reason I bought that is if somebody comes to my door in need of daily food and clothing, that I don't just look him in the eye and say, "Be filled with the Spirit, go in peace," notwithstanding I don't give him those things which are needed. So I wholeheartedly agree with you. Taking care of our neighbors is going to be an extremely important part. Let me get my mouse working here real quick because my up-down arrows don't work as well as, this is an old computer. So let me see here. Okay. Yeah. So and not only do we have a checklist in each vehicle, but the same thing. So for example, if we keep a radio in the car, turn it to channel 3. Then there's also don your NBC personal protection. So I did a video, oh gosh, when the war first started. And I was talking, what I did was I said, here's a simple $10, $10, $15 way to get yourself a nuclear fallout protection kit. And so basically all it is I want you to get a poncho, and you can get those for $1 from Walmart. And then you're going to pull the hood up over your head. You're going to take a bandana or something to seal it off so that you don't get any fallout, blowing up into that hood that is with the poncho. You want to get some tight glasses. Swimming goggles would be fantastic. I use shooting glasses. They're protective, ballistic protective. Then you want to have an N95 mask underneath, covering up the rest of your face. So you've got that poncho basically covering up everything except for your face. Now your face is covered, your eyes are covered, your nose and mouth are covered with the N95 mask. Get a pair of nitrile gloves. You're going to put those over your hands. So that's now covered. You can go to the painting section at Walmart and get some of those painter's booties. Put those over your shoes. Okay. So now you have basically the poncho, everything above. You might have your shins exposed, and that's going to be the maximum of it, where you can get fallout basically clinging to it. But what you're doing is you're keeping the vast majority of the fallout from getting stuck to your clothing, so that now you've got an outer layer that is non-permeable that you can basically doff and then get into an area and not take any contamination in with you. Number one, most important of all of those things, if you can get to a shower. I've got an outdoor shower that I'm going to install just in case we need to decontaminate. I've got the hooks already installed. It's a 35-gallon bag full of water. I've got a pulley so somebody as weak as I am can get it lifted up. And then we're going to hand spray with the shower to wash off any residual fallout. But the number one thing you've got to do is make sure, if you can't get anything else, get the N95 mask or get a surgical mask, get something to cover your face. We want to get rid of that fallout. The fallout particles are going to be about the size of a snowflake, okay, is what we have seen in the past. So they're going to be sand grain size, snowflake size. And so you can wash those off very easily. You can't get rid of them if you inhale them. Okay. So number one, critical importance is get a face mask so you can keep it from getting into your lungs, because you can't wash them free. Then after that, cover your ears, because you don't want any getting in there. That's also very, very difficult to get out, and they can also get in through your olfactory. Your eye glands, and so you don't want them to get in there. So you want to cover your eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. If nothing else, cover those four. You can rinse everything else off. Back to the comments. Yes, and so yeah, I don't know. I've told people this in the past. One of the other things, I cannot stand oatmeal. I just can't eat it, and so I buy oatmeal. And one of the things that I've done is when I buy a jar, one of those cardboard jars of oatmeal, I also buy a bunch of sandwich bags. So what I can do now is the serving for oatmeal, let's say, is 1 cup of oatmeal, and you mix it with half a cup of water, right? So what I can do is I can take that oatmeal, take out my 1 cup measuring spoon or measuring cup, put it in there, put that into a Ziploc bag, Ziploc it, and then all of that gets vacuum sealed together, so that now I have pre-measured giveaways, so the instant oatmeal can be given out to anybody who comes to my door. Now I keep the old container that they come in with, maybe 1 cup down at the bottom, so that if somebody comes back and says, man, we're starving, I'm going to say, look, it's really tough. And then I can give them that jar, that big container with only that much left in the bottom, say, this is going to wipe me out, buddy, but I'll tell you what, this is the last of it, and it's yours. Okay. Go in peace. And so if they think it's the last of it because it's the bottom of the jar, then they probably won't come back. Okay. But if you keep giving out, if you were to give him a second baggie, he might think there's more. And then that desperate people in desperate times do desperate things. So, you just don't want to do that. You don't want to do anything that's going to get them coming back or becoming dependent upon you. Now, I've thought this through. And the other thing I'm thinking is there are some neighbors here that I might take care of, but they're going to work for the food. Okay. So they're going to stand guard duty, or they're going to retrieve firewood, or they're going to retrieve water from the river, or, they're going to do something. They're going to work for me for the food that I am giving them. I will agree to feed them and their family, provided they do certain things for me. So that's another way around that. I agree. So yeah, the big question, Pat, becomes one of how. And so you might want to plan that ahead of time. For example, here in the neighborhood, I keep telling people get an FRS or GMRS radio. And for $150, I can get 10 of them with chargers. And so I'm thinking about buying 10 with chargers. And since I have whole house solar, I can charge those so that now I will give them a radio, maybe 5 people, 4 people. I'll keep 1, 4 out, the other 5 are charging. And then, that way they can keep in communication with me that way. But consider distance, how far away they are, but you might want to look into either a family radio system or a GMRS system. And, boy, that was tautological of me. I shouldn't have said that. GMRS or GMR system. There we go. That way you can be in communications, because the cell towers may not be working. We don't know. So make sure you have a plan on how are you going to communicate as an alternative in the future. I've got my sister fully on board. I don't think I ever have really fully convinced my daughter. She thinks I'm just a crazy quack. But I think, having moved to New Jersey now, that they're going to find out that that's one of the primary target areas. And, but, I guess, we've done what we can. And, I'm sure there are people out there who think I'm crazy as I'll get out too. And I've even advocated at church. I asked who is responsible for disaster planning and disaster preparation and disaster services. And, so the answer I got was Knights of Columbus or St. Vincent de Paul. Well, we don't have anything going. So I guess what I have to do is I have to work with the president, and we need to start building something. Our problem is we don't have anywhere dedicated we can store it if we do that. So we're going to have to come up with alternative plans. Thank you, Ingrid. Fantastic. Now, just do me a favor, Terry. By the way, welcome. You are steps ahead of everybody else. Just do me a favor. Think now, plan ahead. How do you get those off? Okay, so I had a person who was saying, I'm just going to buy a rain suit. I said, wait a minute, with a if you have a poncho, okay, then you can basically lift up the corners, or you can put your hands inside, pull your hands in and then push it up the hood over like this, and then push it out so that all that fallout that's falling off of the poncho is not falling off of the poncho onto your clothes. So think now about how are you going to get out of that hazmat suit, because hazmat suits usually are totally dependent upon having a decontamination station where they're going to spray it off with chemicals and with water before they take it off. So think, how are you going to take that off without knocking the dust that you want to avoid onto your body while you're taking it off? Does that make sense? And I'll see your answer here in about 5 minutes, I think, from the number of comments. Hello, KP. Welcome, even from Louisiana. So if my vehicle stops while I'm traveling, great. That's planning ahead. Great plans. Yes, yeah, and that's basically what we're called to do is help our friends. Hello, David. Welcome. So David just had a fantastic video yesterday. He opened an MRE and shared that. Did his Taco Talk Tuesday. Oh, David, one of the things that, and you've got HEB, so I picked up an extra bag at HEB. I'm looking over for my Saturday. You guys are going to see all of my Saturday prepper pantry haul before I get to Saturday. So both of these you can get and this is a product of Brazil. So this was, I think, $3 for a beef barbacoa, which will make a fantastic taco. And this has a shelf life of 2 years. And then I don't think this would make a fantastic taco, but I picked one up. But they have beef barbacoa. They do have taco filling as well. So, for you, I think it's going to be extremely important. I know how much you love tacos. So that would be something to go great with your powdered eggs, barbacoa and eggs and onions. And oh, gosh, you can make a wonderful taco that way. Let me see. Amen. And that's what James chapter 2 says too, Claude. So, just real quickly, jot down James 2:14 through 24. That's my mantra. And so, maybe that will help you. That's what we should be, doing, is helping out our fellow man to the maximum extent possible. Then on the back of my St. Vincent de Paul notebook, I have this, and I'll share it with you. So this is the prayer that I say with my partner before we go in to visit, before we visit one of our neighbors in need. And this is St. Francis of Assisi. And it says, "O divine master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, not so much to be understood as to understand, not to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, and it is pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying that we are born again to eternal life." So that's the prayer we pray before we talk with our partners. And I think that's basically the philosophy we're talking about is, how can we be of service to others? How can we help them? How can we rebuild society and make it a good place again if something bad happens? Pat, you and I are in the same boat. I'm gonna hunker down right here. There's very little that's going to get me out of here, and so I don't think there's going to be too much moving me from where I am. It's just, I turned 71 in August, and so just and with this new titanium hip, and my waist has gone from a 32 to a 38 over the course of the years. I've gone from 6'1" down to 5'11", just all that weight compressing on the spine. And I'm just not as mobile as I used to be. So you and I are thinking an awful lot alike. It's just better. There are things better for me to do here, and then organize the community so that we can work together to overcome anything that's major that we need to get work up on. Hello, Terry Sunflower. Welcome. That's a new name. So happy to have you here. So here's my plans, Lisa Marie. Just to be honest with you, and I think about this quite often. Probably what I'm going to do is I don't want to act like I can readily give it. So I'm going to ask them to just wait right here for a minute. Let me go see what I can find. Okay, so they're at the front door. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one or two pre-planned items, maybe a can of Vienna sausage and a can of mixed vegetables, or maybe a cup of rice, or maybe a cup of oatmeal, or maybe a one of those packets of ramen, or I have a case of cup of soups that I like to give out too. So all those different things are things I'm going to do. I'm not going to give a whole bunch of them. I am going to give ones that kind of look like they're squashed or damaged, or from the back of my pantry. I want to intentionally make them look like they are something that I am really sacrificing. I'm down to the end of what I'm giving. I'm going to put that in, and I keep shopping bags. My wife hates it. Every time we go to Walmart or to the grocery store, I keep the shopping bags. Why? Because I'm going to put that gift for that person into that shopping bag. I'm going to tie it up. I'm going to go out in the backyard, and I'm going to throw it over the backyard fence out into the alleyway. Okay. Then I'm going to go back into the person who I'm talking to in the front and said, I just put something over the fence for you. Go around the block. It's in the alleyway waiting for you. That way, you know, I'm not handing them stuff and exposing myself too much, and I don't have to open the door to any point to where I have to pass something through it. I've already opened the door to the backyard and threw it over the fence. So, you know, that way I'm giving myself a little bit more protection. Is it guaranteed to work? No, but I think that's going to be my best bet for right now. Um, Let me know. What do you think? Do you think it's going to work? Do you think am I totally crazy here? Am I a senile man or what? Um, yeah. So Diana too says she's only going to go when she has to. Do I have any advice on how to filter tap water? So here's my plans. Okay. Number one, we have an inline osmosis system for our house. So all of the water that comes into our house is reverse osmosis in the first place. So if there is still water pressure pushing the water into the house, I've got a spigot that it's removes 99.99%. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, if I have to use, and I do have a rain catchment system here, so I'll take that and I'm going to make sure you mark your jugs dirty and clean. So you're going to take your dirty jug and bring it in, and you're going to pass that to a second dirty jug, in a sense. You're going to use some sort of a filter. You want to get rid of any large contaminants, uh, maybe even the fallout particles themselves. So here's a point of contention. There's a guy who really hates me saying this, but I've even got another nuclear physicist who's a member of St. Vincent de Paul with me. He's going to come in and he's going to say, Lee, you're absolutely right. So I want to interview him and get him on here on a Monday night and talk about nuclear radiation and everything. The only thing that's contaminated in that water is the nuclear fallout itself. So if you filter that out, your water is safe. Water does not become radioactive. It's the particles that are suspended in it that are radioactive. So if you can filter those out, you're good to go. Now then, you can use a coffee filter, and that's going to get rid of about 95% of the radioactive elements as you're doing that filtration system. So you're going to take it from one dirty jug to a semi-clean jug, okay? And that's going to be, you're going to filter it through T-shirt, coffee filters or something like that into another dirty jug. The water is still, consider it dirty. I like Survivor Filter Pro. And the reason I really like it is one of the best systems there are. Plus, it's a pump system. So now I have an intake hose that I can put into that dirty jug, and it has an outtake hose so that as I'm pumping, the pure clean water is going to go into a clean jug. And that's the jug I'm going to be using to drink out of. I also have a big Berkey, and I'll probably use the big Berkey first. So I can take that dirty water once I've filtered out the larger elements, and that way I'm also making the filters in my big Berkey last longer. And so now I'm going to take that dirty water, pour it into my big Berkey, and let it drip through those filters, and then I have clean water down at the bottom. Big Berkey's good. Electric Pure is good. Sawyer has good systems. Survivor Filter Pro has great systems. There's one more that I really, really like, and I wish I could remember the name of it. Yeah, there's some very good filtration systems out there. I'm just going to tell you, avoid the straws. If you have to get your face down close to the bad water and suck it through a straw and only get it into your body, and there's not a way that you can filter it and put it into a drinking container or something like that, don't consider it. I mean, that would be your last. You can consider it, but make that your last choice, not your first choice. Think of, how can I get a large quantity of water from one jug, dirty jug, into a clean jug, and then some sort of filtration system in between. So for removing radioactive dust then or fallout, Terry says she does have an outdoor shower, which is fantastic. Yeah, I just found out last night on his live that he does have 2 channels, so that's great. Yeah, so what you want to do is rinse as much of that off as you can outside, Terry. Take it off outside and then come into your house without it. Okay. You might even consider taking a second shower after you take it off, just to be safe. Hi, Christina. Welcome. Good to see you. The first 3 months after SHTF will be the toughest. Yes. So I have heard 90% in a year. Uh, I haven't seen 95% in 3 months. I have seen 90%. The congressional study was that after an EMP or grid down situation is what I saw. 90% of the population will be gone in the first year. And the primary reason is because we have become, number one, so dependent upon electrical medical devices. Like I sleep with an oxygen concentrator. It's not a CPAP, it's just oxygen concentrator. And so I have to have oxygen at night while I'm sleeping. So I have to think of another way. Well, I'll probably just, I'll have less oxygen while I'm sleeping. But there are people who have CPAPs and are totally dependent upon that. There are people who have different electrical powered life support systems that keep them alive. Number two, we are extremely dependent upon medications. Most people only have a 90-day supply of medications to keep them alive. So there are some that are extremely, extremely critical. For example, we have a family member who's a brittle type 1 diabetic. They only give us 90 days worth of insulin at a time. I've got to find a way to make sure that we have more than 90 days worth of insulin. The whole reason I have the whole house power, solar power system is to keep the existing insulin home, that cold, and that gives us those 90 days. Then after that, I've got to come up with other things. So I'm working with there is a pharmacist at Walmart, and Walmart does have both short-term and long-term, insulin without a prescription. And so that's another alternative. So we can probably take a look at that and see if we can't ransack pharmacies for the generic insulins. Hello, Guru and Wahoo. Wahoo the turtle. I wonder if that's the kind of turtle we talked about in college. Oh, absolutely. And so that's why I bought my whole house rain catchment system, is because as I analyze things, especially now that we don't have 4 adults in the house, we've only got the 2 of us. If I go out collecting firewood, if I go out collecting water, so I asked my daughter for one of those heavy duty garden trailers, $85 for those heavy green ones. And I figured I could put 2 5-gallon bottles on it and go down to the river, get dirty water, bring it up to the house. Okay. And then I thought, wait a minute, who's going to be covering my back while I'm walking down there with the water and walking back? Who's going to be taking care of watching the house other than, one person? So I started looking at my susceptibility to an attack or my susceptibility to exposure to other people. And I said, this is not a good thing. So maybe what I need to do is install a whole house water catchment system. So right now I have a total of 425 gallons, and they're both full, by the way, of water tanks that are water catchment. And so we probably won't get rain again until September. It was so predictable when I lived in El Paso. When I grew up in El Paso, we knew it was going to rain on July 4th. We knew it was going to rain on Labor Day. So those 2 days, they could always fill up our rain catchment systems. But here it's a little bit less predictable. We just went into stage 2 water restrictions today. So you can only water your grass once a month. I have the water catchment system, so I'm not worried as much about that water as I am. I can produce my own. That's why I had to come up with that whole system of how I'm going to filter it. Because remember, even with the rain catchment system, bird dung on the roof is going to get washed off, and that's going to be collected in my rainwater catchment system. So I've got to filter that out. Okay, so I'm going to have to do a preliminary filter, that coffee filter, then the second filter of the purification system. Yes. And so that's why I also think we also need to have the discussion. How are you going to prepare food so that other people don't know that you have food? And so that becomes an important part of it too. So let's say most people for the first 6, 7 days are going to be living out of canned food and stuff. They'll probably be, if there's no power and no gas, they'll probably be using a grill or wood or something in the backyard. Do what they're doing. Be great by doing the same thing your neighbors are doing. Okay. Then get yourself one of those indoor grills with an indoor butane system, so that you can cook indoors safely while they're starving. Okay. That way they don't know you're cooking. Because I'll tell you what, if you step out on the back porch here in Texas in the middle of the afternoon, you know somebody's grilling. Okay. You've got the odor of the whatever it is, the combustible material you're using to cook with, and you've got the odor of the food you're actually cooking. I don't know which one sometimes smells best. But you've got both of those odors you have to be conscious about. You've got the light that it produces if you're going to be cooking at night. You've got smoke during the daytime, because when you first start up charcoal or you first start up a fire, until you have real good combustion, there's going to be a lot of smoke produced. That's going to tell your neighbors a visual clue for miles that you're cooking. So how do you cook in a stealthy mode right after all that happens? So maybe what you need to be doing is only boiling water and adding boiling water to, let's say, something like Mountain House freeze-dried foods, or nutrient survival freeze-dried foods, where all you have to do is add water and let it seep. This is also the point where you might want to be eating your MREs first inside your house, or the canned goods you don't have to cook. So remember that these things are pre-cooked. And so those are already cooked. You can eat those cold. You may not like them, but you're not going to injure yourself by eating them cold. Same thing with tuna, same thing with chili. All those things can be eaten cold, so your neighbors don't know that you are eating while they aren't. Seychelles water filters are the best. As a matter of fact, they are the only manufacturer that has what they call a radiation level filter, where it'll actually remove cesium elements that I know of for sure. Seychelles used to be sold at the Provident Living Centers for the preparedness, the LDS preparedness store. They no longer have that contract, but I bought probably 8 or 10 of them. I do have 2 of them with the radiation filter, and as I thought more and more about it, what I thought is I'm going to be drinking water, and that radiation filter is good for like 500 bottles of water. But what's happening is I've got 500 bottles worth of water with radioactive fallout that I'm now concentrating in that filter that's hanging on my waist. Do I really want to do that? So remember that the Seychelles bottles, what you're doing is the dirty contents are on the inside. They go through a filtration system. You're sucking it through. So that's a drinking system. It's a water bottle system. I'm unaware. I'm not saying they don't have it. I'm just saying I'm unaware of any non-water bottle systems that they might have. But we can, if somebody wants to check, we can fix that easy. If somebody wants to do a real quick check and let me know if they do have another system. Let's get down here. Lauren, hello, welcome. Green Grass Grows, welcome. Good to see you. Fantastic. Thank you for being here this evening. Would you all do me a favor and give me a thumbs up? And then, of course, when we're all done, if you would be so kind, I will put some notes for the meeting. I'll also give you some different sites that you can go to if you want some of the products that I have. For example, I think everybody has to have that water bob. It costs for about $35. So what it is just a humongous bladder. You put it in your bathtub. The minute that SHTF happens, you go in, you open up the top to it, you turn on your spigot for your bathtub, you start putting the water from your bath spigot into this water bladder. As soon as it's full, you cap it off. Of course, it's contained inside your bathtub. Now, all you have to do is it's got a spigot on it, okay? And all you have to do is apply pressure, push down on the bladder. It's going to force the water out through the spigot system. And you've got 100, 150 gallons of water right there in your bathtub that's clean, potable. You don't have to worry about filtering it because it was pre-filtered from your water source. So, I'll put that link in the descriptions down below. I think that's an absolute essential thing to have. Well, I'm seeing you're posting here on the live. You can't post in the comments down below until after the show after we shut the show down. Okay, which is going to be in just a couple minutes. I have 2 EpiPens. Yes, absolutely. I think that they are essential. They are expensive, and so what happens is I take allergy shots, and so because they're afraid that the allergy shots, because what they're actually doing is they're actually injecting the thing that I'm allergic to into my body, so I build up more immunity to it. Well, as they increase the dose, if that gets to the point where it's too much and I have an allergic reaction, I have to have the EpiPen. So I basically have to carry my EpiPen with me as I go to get my allergy shots, and then wait a half hour after the allergy shot to make sure that everything's okay. But yeah, EpiPens is essential. Talk to your physician. If your physician can give you a prescription for one, get one. It's a great thing to have. Hello, Just Arizona. I retired out of Fort Huachuca, if you know where that is. It's down. It was the post that basically provided all the protection to Tombstone, and it's nested down there, right outside the little town of Sierra Vista. And by the way, on Fort Huachuca, there is one valley going into the Huachuca Mountains that is the largest hummingbird sanctuary in the U.S. Just, gosh, gorgeous hummingbirds, unbelievable. Scott Hummer, hey, welcome, good to see you. Happy Hickman Homestead, welcome, thank you. I'm glad you're doing that. You'll have to teach me how. I went out back this morning, when I went out to fertilize and water my plants, and I noticed either the squirrels or the blue jays got my red bell peppers, and they also got every single tomato I have. So I lost my entire tomato crop just overnight to squirrels, rabbits, blue jays. I don't know, but I am so jealous that you're getting to can them. But so happy for you as well. So one of the things that I do, I order every time, because I have a few. I know I'm a black. I know I'm a black thumb, and you'll see this on my Pepper Pantry haul Saturday. But almost every order, I order 1 can of tomato dices. So these are freeze-dried tomatoes. Just add water, and then you've got diced tomatoes. So I can have a salad. I'm a salad geek. So as a matter of fact, I did a video just 2 weeks ago on how to have salads in a post-apocalyptic world. Okay, let me get down here to new comments. We'll see if there's anything. Craig Davis, epinephrine, yes. Oh man, I am so jealous. Sumi, that's Korean. Welcome. Annyeonghaseyo. Happy Hickman. Let me see. Yeah, I did. I did cry. Wow. So our farmers market this last Saturday, I go every Saturday. I go to 3 different farmers markets every Saturday, just so that the farmers know me, see me, and we can chat. I'm trying to get them to come on here. I'm trying to get a guy on to talk about microgreens. But I want them to know who I am, so that I have farmer friends in a post-SHTF environment. And so this last one of the bigger of the 3 farmers markets, they said, if you're a veteran, you get a free ear of corn. They had an overproduction of corn. So I ended up getting one for me and one for Helen. And we've got it. She was mentioning that today, that we've got to cook that here pretty quick. So Ingrid says, this year I've been putting netting around the garden. I'm going to have to. I am going to have to. The other thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to put some rain block on it. Not rain block, but sunblock. One of those 80% protector nets, because it is the sun. We've now had 14 days over 100 degrees. So that sun is really coming down on my plants and tearing them up. So I need to get some sunblock for them. So far, so good for the garden, not getting raided by deer, etc. I believe the kitties are taking care of the squirrels. Good. I'm allergic to cats. But yes, kittens are great. We had a cat at our old house that kept all the rodents away. So very happy with any cat that is willing to keep the rodents away. I'll put food out in the backyard if that's what you're willing to do. My wife wants me to find a CD out in the garage so that we can put up a CD, because she read somewhere that the reflections off a CD hanging from the rafters of the ceiling will deter most of the birds. And so I'm going to try that. Let me see where we are. Thank you, Hello Topher. That's very nice of you. Very thoughtful. Thank you. One of the things we have here in Texas is feral hogs, and we're overpopulated with feral hogs. So you don't have to have a hunting license to shoot feral hogs here in Texas. As a matter of fact, there are some places where they will take you on helicopter hunts. So you can shoot feral hog from a helicopter. There's no requirement that you process them and eat them either. You can just shoot them and let them lay. That's how bad the feral hogs are here in Texas. And yes, they will root up everything. My problem right now is I got to go fill up 2 bunny holes in the backyard. That's the reason my dogs were sick last week. The vet thinks that they were eating rabbit dung, and so that's probably what got them sick. So I got to pack down those rabbit holes and make sure that we get rid of them. They may be the ones who are getting the low-hanging fruit on my vines as well. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this evening. I hope you all got something out of this. Thank you for sharing your great ideas. I always do appreciate that. I will put a link to that water, Bob. I think it's essential for those of you who are going to be staying where you are as far as having good water. I am a distributor for Big Berkey. That link will be down below. I don't want you to get the big one. Okay. Think about your water requirements. Go as inexpensive as possible. I'll also put my Survivor Filter Pro, which is my favorite handheld. That is about $85 for a very good water filter, and it sucks from one, puts into another. I'll put the Life Straw system in that I have. I'll put in all the different water filtration systems I have. I bought several, and I'll put those in there for you. I also have, some of the pitcher type things. I have a Goal Zero pitcher, and I have a Brita pitcher. So I have different things that I've acquired over the last 50 years. And so I'll put in all those links down in the show notes down below, and hopefully that'll help you a little bit. Maybe what I might do is when we get to 10,000 viewers, I might say that I'll get a Brita water filter pitcher as one of my gifts, and we'll just order that from Amazon and have it shipped directly to one of the lucky winners here. So there are 2 things that I want to close out with tonight. And the first one's going to be from the book of Joshua. And I want to go to Joshua 1:9, if I can find it. So this is just after Moses and Aaron have died. They're getting ready to move across the River Jordan into the Promised Land. And so this is God speaking to Joshua. This is all of us speaking to each other. So Joshua 1:9, I command you, be strong and steadfast. Do not fear or be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And then the second one I want to give you is in the book of Numbers, and that's the Aaronic blessing. So the priestly blessing, and this is basically Numbers 6, verses 23 through 26, and it says, "Speak to Aaron and his sons and tell them, this is how you shall bless the Israelites. Say to them, and this is what I'm saying to you: the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you, be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace." So do me a favor. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your participation. I really, really appreciate you all. One of these days, well, maybe I'll just do it here. This is my collection of Bibles. That just happens to be the one on top. So there's so what I did was I put that Bible on top. I've got 3 different translations there that I go to. So that's the reason I reach over there, is because that's part of my devotional area. So anyhow, remember that we're all in this together, so we can come out the other side together, because togetherness is the key. So please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other. And remember, we're here to take care of our fellow man. Thank you all so much for being here. Have a wonderful evening. Please stay safe. I will see you tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we're picking up on some more of Selko Begovich's book, and that is We're going to be doing more of the dark secrets of SHTF survival. So remember, this is a guy who lived through it. We're going to take the words of somebody who's been there, done that, over the words of somebody who is theorizing. So tomorrow night, we're going to be discussing this. You all have a wonderful evening. Take care. Be safe. Bye-bye.